All right, guys. You guys are here on Left Seat, Right Seat. Today we are here with Roni. She's a old flight medic, um, one of my old flight medics at that, and now she's continues to work in the medical industry at in the urgent care and was it Care Now, and she's the clinical manager there. And we're gonna talk to her, get a little insights and everything into her and how she's doing in life, and that's it. So let's go ahead and say hi, Ronnie.
Thank you for asking me to do this.
Yeah, thank you. You're welcome. All right, yeah, let's get a little backstory on just like what you did, what you were doing in the army, and how you liked it, and everything else, and what brought you into the civilian life and that.
All right. Well, I went in 98. So I was in from 98 to 2002 and was a flight medic with 57th Medical Company.
You?
And it was fantastic. Really enjoyed that. I think we had the best job that there was.
Right, right.
If you had to pick the best job, we had it.
Yeah.
And then after that, we did Bosnia and Afghanistan for me, and then I got out, and after that, just stayed in the medical field, did a lot of X-ray and medical assisting, and moved on to more management and leadership, and now working for urgent care company.
Nice, nice. Sounds great. So, I think we were talking earlier, and so we were talking that you do have to go back to school after you get out as a medic, and how that would go. Can you like walk us through that process, like how that would be if like you wanted to do it? Would you have to do the whole school all over again, like all the basic credits, from like one to whatever,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, being in, we got our EMT basic. So that was something that as a medic, you got that certification.
Mm-hmm.
So you had that. But that was it. You didn't get anything else. Depending on what your level that you did, so whatever we saw or, who we transported and the care that we gave, any of that, nothing, when you get out and you think I could basically be a nurse or I could do that, it doesn't transfer over. And it might have changed within the last, because it's been a while. I think they might give you different credits now, but back when I got out, nothing transferred over. You didn't get credits for any of that stuff.
Gotcha.
So, but I do think that they give a little bit more now than what they did before.
Okay.
Nothing substantial. You still have to take pretty much the whole course again.
Gotcha.
Or from start, because they're not saying, oh, you have all this experience, or, 4 years experience does not transfer over to make you a nurse or anything on that side. Yeah. But you do get the EMT. So you have to keep current, though. If you want to keep that, you will get, that's the only certification that you'll get for being a medic.
Yeah.
If they still do that, not, that's been years, so I don't even know if that's at all.
Gotcha. So then, when you got out, then you could have went straight to EMT if you wanted to, and then
I could have done that. And I interviewed to do some of those EMT jobs that I know, to be honest, the pay's crap.
Yeah.
It's like $10, $11 an hour. So you're like, no, I'm not going to do that. You think with your experience, you're going to get a job paying more than $10, $11 an hour coming out. So
yeah,
I did take a different avenue because you can't really support yourself on that.
Right.
No,
right.
not. But you do get it. You could get a job. It probably would be okay, but it would be a crap pay.
Right. It might be good if you actually retired and you were getting that like retirement benefit off of it,
Yeah. Regardless, if you wanted to actually have, you would have to go back to school when you immediately got out to try to get back up to the level of what you were probably performing at while you were in.
Gotcha. So then and then like with the nurse, so you would have to go through like the first, to get your AA and then go back and do like the BA for the nurses or whatever it was, right? Or for
Right.
the RN and everything.
Yeah, if you want to
So
do that, like you could start and do like an LVN or LPN or something like that, and do the RN program or something.
right,
But my mindset, coming off of that was not that I wanted to go back and be a student again.
right,
That was really difficult for my brain to wrap to go and say, oh yeah, I totally want to go be a student and sit in class for. I had bills to pay. Yeah, I had choir.
right, right,
I was like, I'm not gonna go do that. Who does who has time for that
right,
now?
right.
And you're older, you're late 20s.
Yeah,
You're 22, like you've established like this 10 years of adulthood or something where you're like, it's really hard to mentally transition to think you have to go back to school at that point.
right, right. Yeah, yeah. I can see that. I mean, for me, I just jumped right back into school. I was like,
And that would be the way that you would have to do it, I think, is you would have to immediately go back in there while you're still focused on your goals.
yeah, yeah. Because I think I got,
but I just wasn't.
right. Yeah. No, I think with me, yeah, I got out in June, or yeah, the end of June, and I was in school in like by August. So
Very smart.
yeah, so I mean, I didn't have time to deal with anything else, but that,
Yeah,
Um,
that was a good thing you did.
yeah, no, but I definitely like feel your pain, like because to go back to school again was definitely challenging, but like it was at the time I think it was necessary for me, um, because I was learning a different task, right? Like I wasn't working on helicopters or flying or being a crew chief anymore. Right, I was going back to learn um, like animation and like 3D graphics and graphic design, all that stuff. Like I was going back to learn like artistic stuff. So I don't have in the same way where it's like I've got like 6 years of experience doing this one thing, and then you want me to go back and learn from scratch on how to do this when I used to be teaching these classes.
Right.
Like I can see where that could be a challenge, because with me, I had no knowledge of what I was doing when I was in the class. Like it was, I was pretty much a private again, or however you want to look at it, right? I was the new guy, And with you, I could see it. You were like, well, probably your early 20s, all right, and then you got out, and now you're there with like these kids that are like 18 or 19 that are now going in that don't know anything, never stuck an IV, never even checked anybody's temperature, right? And you're like, man, you guys are literally children in this field. Like, not even just the fact that they're younger, but their knowledge base is just zero compared to like the vast knowledge that you had going in, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But
the transition's hard. When you get out, the transition's hard with just the emotions that you go through normally anyhow.
Right. Yeah.
So then you add another, event that you're trying to do, and it's very hard to be like emotionally there to focus on something like school or another important thing that you get. Because you're just kind of all over the place emotionally for, I would say, a year or so for me.
Right.
You're just kind of like, I miss my friends. I want to go back.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. I definitely. And how was that for you? Like when you got out? Like I know that you're saying like you miss your friends and everything, and I know that's how everybody pretty much feels. That's how I felt. How I think everybody I've talked to, anybody that's ever been interviewed on any show that I've ever watched, they're like, yeah, I got out, I miss my friends. Like, that's the main thing. Like I miss the people, and I miss sometimes you miss the job as well, but most of the, like, it's not even the job, it's the people, right? So like, and then how was that like for you to deal with once you got out?
I think it's really hard because you lose a piece of your identity.
Yeah.
you almost have to, you're reinventing yourself as a new person,
Mm-hmm.
not the same person that you just were for however many years.
Right.
Change so much about yourself.
Right.
Finding people to relate to,
Mm-hmm.
coming right off. Like I can do it now easily because it's been a lot of years.
Right.
At the time, it was really hard. You know, when you hear people bitching and moaning about something, and you're just like, I can't relate to your struggles, then you can't relate to mine. So
Right.
it's hard to make a connection. You almost kind of like seclude yourself in a way because you don't know how to be around those people. But if it was like me and you, we'd be able to sit there and talk and we'd have that connection.
Right.
But new friends or people you just meet or something like that, you're just like, you're missing it every time. Like you can't connect. You can't feel that bond with somebody or something. So I would say it was very difficult. It was very depressing.
Yeah.
It was very, very depressing at times where you were just like, you didn't want to do anything or you didn't want to be around with socially, something like that, because that whole person is gone.
Yeah.
You know, pieces of you, but it's not the same. It's not the same thing. And you kind of have to be like, you know, how do I make myself successful again? Because most people, you go out, you're on a high note when you leave.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You know,
Yeah.
You're on a high note. You've done well. You've done however many years. You've been promoted. You've been rewarded, acknowledged.
Right.
You've been all these things, and you go out on a pretty high note that things are great. You've established all these friends. You've gone cool places. Like everything's so exciting. Your day-to-day life is exciting.
Right.
You party like nobody else parties. You know.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that is true.
And then you come home and you're like, like nothing. Like nothing's the same.
Right.
Same. And you're just. It's kind of. I didn't realize it during that time.
Yeah.
It was until after that time period where I could say I would, you know, emotionally I was messed up, where I didn't know what I wanted or what I wanted to do or where I wanted to go or who I wanted to be around. Like I didn't know any of that stuff.
Right.
So they should have like a psychological class before you leave. You're going to experience these things.
Yeah, that would be great, actually. That's actually a wonderful idea.
Yeah, and don't go get on pain pills and don't go drink the alcohol till you can't anymore. Like really.
Right. Yeah, I'm typing that down right now because that's like a wonderful idea. Like, you know, because to have like a psych class before you get out, or just have somebody tell you like these are what you're gonna feel in, you know.
Yeah, and you know people like that, they're not going to say, "Oh yeah, I feel that way," because none of us would ever admit in saying that there was any sort of weakness. But but you know, like it's truly, honestly, is there. It's one of those things where if we all sat in a room and you said, "Okay, anybody who've ever felt depressed or felt this way, come stand over here and we're going to go talk about it," none of us would stand up.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can see it, but like I think the one thing, like I would not classify it as a weakness per se, even though that's how you and I would think of it.
Right.
Because that's, you know, when you're in the military, you're like, oh, what are you, a sissy? Come on now, don't do it, right? Yeah, come on now, bro. You need a hug? You need a hug? Come on, right? Yeah, like, but it's definitely not a weakness. Like that's just a human, like, you know, like a basic human like desire or need, like to be around people that you feel comfortable with.
Right.
And
if they could change that, you know, where it wasn't looked at like weakness, but it looks at this is for your mental well-being.
Yeah. I mean, that's like anybody. I mean, look, not to equate military to people going to prison, but there's a lot of guys that come out and they're like, I don't know how to adjust, right? They've been in for so long that their comfort level's gone. They're not around people that, even though it's a more dangerous situation, they feel people on the, you know, like, and it's kind of the exact same thing. Like people on the outside don't know how to relate to you, and you don't know how to relate to them, you know. And it's just a basic need of humans to find people that you can relate with and feel
Right.
comfortable with and be, um, just yourself with, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah, and then like, and then like for us, once we get out, we really have to adjust um, our way of being,
Mm.
right?
You really do, because when you get a job, you can't tell somebody to fuck off.
Right.
As much as we could there
Yeah.
all the time,
Oh,
you can't.
I tell people, like, honestly, I probably did, honestly, probably about close to 1 million push-ups in the military. As
Yeah.
many times, like in my 6 years, like I'm sure I'm like probably not 1 million. That's like exaggeration, but not by far, right?
Right.
Because I used to tell like NCOs and like officers, like, no, you're wrong. Like this is how we're doing it, and this is what's going on. Like, there's no way, like, especially when we're like on the bird, like that was my domain. Like, I don't care what your rank is,
Right.
right? Like, I don't care if you're a colonel, you're a general, whatever. Like, if I tell you to go that direction, you better go that direction,
Right.
right? So, and out here, I think that was one thing I was talking to Jeff about last time. I was like, we need to. It's hard to cope with the corporate world once you're out, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's just in a job, right? But it's also hard to cope with um, just friends when you're out, right?
Yeah.
Because when you're coping with your friends, like they've all moved forward in life as well too, right? They're not just in high school. They might all still party like they're in high school,
Right.
right? But they all have jobs, or they're going to college or whatever else too. Some may have kids and a family. For us, because I was in for 6 years, so so after that, like, yeah, there's ones that got married and had kids, and like
Right.
come back, and it's great, and I think for me, the things that I think another thing you said is you had nobody there to relate to.
Mm-hmm.
I think one thing with me that kind of got me through is that, and I didn't even think about it right until you said it, like right there. It's like I had a buddy who was in the Navy, and he got out around the same time I got out, and he was like my high school buddy. And then after like I got out, like he was still in the same neighborhood. Like and I moved back with my folks so I can go to school. And so we were all in the same neighborhood again, and like we used to go hang out all the time. And like it's like you were saying, I found that person I could relate with that was in the military, even though he was Navy, right?
Close enough,
Yeah, it was this, yeah, like we would all, don't get me wrong, I'd talk crap to him all the time, right? Call him a squid and all this other junk, right? And he would retort as well. But, he had basically the same stories, like, oh yeah, my NCO was a dummy and I had to do all these push-ups, right? Like he knew, like, it was like, it was a different, like, it was like maybe in a, Black Hawk mechanic, and then somebody else being like a Chinook mechanic. And we got together and like, oh yeah, and the transmission. Oh, you got one transmission? Oh, right, you sissy, I got two, right? Like, but it was the exact same story, but it had its little differences, right? So, so I felt that was kind of what, and I didn't realize until right now when you said it. That kind of got me through it, So, that would be one thing I think was really great,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe how my brother, he's still in actually, and he was a good resource for me through everything. But how when you first get your order somewhere and they give you a sponsor of who you're supposed to meet, they should do something like that when you get out, and get you a sponsor of somebody who you can talk to when you are transitioning for the next, whatever. Here,
Right.
we'll find you a veteran sponsor that can help navigate some crap,
Right. Man, you got all the ideas.
I'm drinking my coffee, CJ, so.
Right. I like that. Those are like two great ideas that, like, I think, at some point I want to go talk to the VA and then maybe we can get that at least going through the VAs, get those started up. Um, that's something because we're gonna go. So I like that, like the psych class before we get out, like that would be definitely a great thing. Like, or just not even a psych class, just tell them like, hey, these are the things, these are what's gonna happen, this is what you're gonna feel.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you were like SF or you were just like, some like private that's only been in for like a year or two and you got hurt, and now you're
Right.
getting out, right? Or you only had a 2-year contract or something, right? Like you're still gonna feel that way. Like I think like anybody should go through that,
Yeah.
as that and a sponsor like that would be great too. If we can get kind of like was it Wounded Warrior and those kind of guys? They kind of have like those things where they have like meetups and stuff.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
I don't. I mean, I don't know if they have like sponsors per se, where you have like a certain person that you could just talk to and relate to,
Yeah.
But yeah, that'd be something great to actually talk to. Maybe I can give them a call and.
Yeah. See how that, I mean, even if it is like a volunteer thing, if people volunteered to do
Right,
that,
right, yeah, yeah. Like,
be
yeah,
like,
it could be, yeah. I mean, it could probably be like, shoot, might be even something we can get started here,
yeah.
on with our thing, our podcast, and everything else. So that, I mean, that would be great. Because I think that would really help a lot of people out, right? Like,
Yeah. Well,
this is
and you have people that have done any kind of military, they're mostly high performers, right? You
yeah,
have they mostly are people that they strive to do a good job, they strive to excel, they strive to do all this stuff. And I think when you have people that are really high performers like that, that deal with that emotional thing that they get knocked down, some people don't, they're not able to pick themselves back up and keep going as easily,
mm,
as maybe just other people who are able to do that, because it's hard being up here all the time and then
right, right,
and if you don't experience that, it's you really are just like, how do I climb myself out of feeling like crap today or feeling whatever. And if
yeah,
you stay down there too long, you're not going to get back until it's too late.
right, right. Or or until you're right, unless you hit rock bottom, and then you're like, well, can't get any worse, got to get better, right? So
Right.
let me make it better. Yeah.
Yeah, and the goal is not to get that,
Right.
not to lose everything, and
Yeah. Exactly. And this is exactly like the goal of this podcast, right? We don't want people to, I think that's what I was talking to you about. And I was talking to Jeff the other day about, I was telling him, I was like, we need to find a way to just stop people from actually slipping once they get out. Because I mean, I probably would say everybody, once they get out, like maybe the first year for sure, like if is a challenge, right? And you're slipping and you're like, geez, like you said, like you went back to school, right? But then you were like, this again, and this, there's nobody here that understands any of this. And like my teacher's like teaching these old tactics that we never use, like or
right.
or that way to stick an IV works great, when the patient's not moving around, or you can actually find a good vein kind of thing, right? Like, so it's like yeah, like what if the patient's like dehydrated and and this and that, I was like, you got to find a vein, or go find other routes,
Yeah, it definitely is. I think everybody's individual. Your experience, you went right back to school, it was something completely different. It was probably something that you were passionate about.
Yes.
It was something that was always maybe a hobby while you were in and stuff, and then you were just like, yeah, this is going to be awesome, I'm excited about it.
Exactly.
And then everybody who has the different experiences where maybe you do one thing there and then you kind of don't know, is that what I really want to do I want to stay this path even though I have the experience, or do I completely change, do I know it's so hard to figure yourself out within that time period, because one minute you're happy and the other minute you're just like, I'm so depressed, and then
right.
yeah, it's just your emotions are crazy.
Yeah, I could definitely say once I got out, like I was probably drinking. I don't want to say more than we were drinking when we were in, because when we were in, it was a fest, right? Like there was a bottle at every turn. But I want to say once when I was out, like
A
I
lot of
think,
people.
yeah, especially at like those bars, and they had like, was it nickel beer night or whatever? And you're just like, what? Get 100 beers for $10 or whatever, like. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I was out drinking with my friends, but I think that time too, like a lot of my friends were out drinking as well too. So it just it didn't occur to me, right? And but I do know, like when I was out, always missed the guys, and like they went right back to Iraq for the second time, and I missed stop loss by like a week or two. Um, so as soon as I got out, like I couldn't even call any of those guys to talk to them or anything, because they were all deployed. Um, and I didn't really meet up with them until after they got back. Um,
And was there a part of you that you wished you were there? Like,
oh yeah, 100%.
weird,
100%.
right?
Yeah. Like, I mean, I'd be in class and the teacher would be saying something, and I don't even know what. Like, he'd be showing me how to draw shadows or how to program this, how to make a square, with program or whatever. And I'd be like, wait, what? I just missed that whole thing. Like, not that the daydreaming isn't a thing, but like I was mostly at that time, like, it was mostly thinking about, hey, those guys, wonder how they're doing.
Right.
Is everybody safe? Like, hell, if somebody got hurt, would I even know? Right. Because, back in those times, there was no Facebook or, Instagram, or, emails they were around, but they were like sparse, like,
Yeah.
So yeah, it was kind of crazy, so yeah. But I mean, I think, doing this, like I mean, just talking to you today, I'm like, man, what the, I guess I did have like a big like support system that I didn't even think I had.
Yeah. Well, I think, is to have somebody, I had a really good family support system that they weren't afraid to call me out on any bullshit and say, get your, get stuff together. What are you doing? Get dressed, go do something, that kind of stuff.
Right.
And you need that. If you have a crappy support system, that's going to work against you. You really need to make sure that, and if it's family that maybe you weren't that close to, you need to get close to them. You're going to need them.
Right.
Vision.
I agree. Yeah, because I mean, honestly, I've been talking. Me and Jeff have been running like some podcast stuff just back and forth between each other, and like until like right now, talking with you, I honestly didn't even think. Like, I knew I had like family support and like friends and everything else, but I never really thought of it as a way to actually get me through all that, or that it was the thing that was getting me through all that. I just was like, and I guess it did. Like really, like I don't want to. I guess I need to go back and thank a bunch of people, right? Because I was like, what, man? I'm just doing this on my own. What's wrong with you guys, right? But I think about it now, and like I really didn't.
Yeah.
I got back out. I really didn't have to find a job because I went back to my folks, because I was like, well, I was trying to find a place in California, and once they told me 1,500 for a studio, after I was paying like 500 for a 2-bedroom with the living room, dining room, and dishwasher in North Carolina, I flipped everybody in California the bird and was like, no, I'm staying at my mom's. Like, that's not, I don't care. Like, it's, I was like, shoot, so.
Yeah, so just think if you didn't have that, if you didn't have parents there and, people that are saying, a lot of people, when they get out, they're not going to have that.
Right. Yeah. They're like either going to stay where they were, like, in, whatever duty station they were at, or they're going to move back and maybe not have that family support system. Right. So, yeah, like, and I mean, for me, I was like, if I would have probably stayed in North Carolina and tried to go to school out there, because they had an AI out at Wilmington, Charlotte. No, Charlotte, North Carolina. Yeah, I think Charlotte. And if I'd have went there, like I don't know, because I would have had to get a job. I would have had to then go to school, and then I had to. Yeah, I probably would not have finished college.
Right. Yeah.
Honestly, right? Like I wouldn't have, right? And so I think it's a good thing that I did come back home and did what I did, and I also, because I was dating Barbara at the time, and so so like I really fought with coming back home
Yeah.
and staying in North Carolina, right? Because I was like, well, they have the same school here, so it'll be the same, right?
Yeah.
So I fought with that, but I decided to come home, and I guess probably a good thing I did, because I mean, I honestly probably wouldn't have finished school if I didn't, and because I would have had to get a job and do all other stuff, and it'd have been like, no, I'd have probably went back to, I'd probably just sat down, got my AMP, and I'd probably been working on birds again,
Right.
instead of doing what I really like, which is animation and like visual effects, right? Like it's like really good stuff. It's fun.
Yeah.
So, and it's something I wanted to do even when I was like younger, right? So, so it's great. And I think that was a good thing, right? And like, I mean, was that kind of like it for you? Because I know we were talking. You said you didn't really feel like finishing off all the college, and was it partially because of that, or was it just because you knew you like been there and didn't want to like start at the bottom again, like, or a little bit of both, like.
So I went to my parents. I moved, and they were in a state that I never. They were in Colorado at the time. I'd never been, living there. So I moved there.
Yeah.
Was, I was unfamiliar. I didn't have friends. I didn't have, I had them, which was
Yeah.
awesome. But at the same time, it was like, what do I do? Okay, so I went back to school. I did some online stuff, and I did really well, and I liked it. But I was so unsettled, so unsettled that just did not know. I didn't know what I wanted to do.
Right.
Okay, I did that, and then I stopped taking the classes. I was really trying, because I didn't know if I wanted a different career, different choice. Do I stay in the medical? Do I do something completely different? I wasn't sure which. Do I go to the police academy? Do I go to like everything? Like I was just thinking every different thing.
Yeah.
Go work for the FBI. I'm gonna go work like all these things, right?
Right.
But like I just didn't know. I didn't know where my niche was anymore.
Yeah.
So I stopped doing it. Stopped doing that, and then I did it again. I went back and was like, okay, well, I'll just do the classes for the nurse. Like, okay, forget, I won't be the FBI. I'll go to the
Yeah.
and I took the classes, and it just, I just didn't feel that, the motivation. Yes, I was really in the motive. I regret it now that I finished it. But I just really was not, committed, I guess. I needed to work because I had bills to pay.
Yeah.
And you're trying to take it. Well, I need to work, but then I have to do this class over here, and then I have to do 3 or 4 classes. There was no time to just be.
Yeah.
Like it was just a constant spin, work and school and work and school and work and school. And I was like, screw it. I just can't right now. Yeah. Then I was, well, maybe I'll just kind of, we did leadership. Like maybe I could just use my training and go into something more management style. Thought maybe that would work, and it's stuck for the last few years. So
yeah, no, it's good. Yeah,
it's good. But yeah, really, it's really hard to find your niche where you really are going to succeed and be, happy at and to make money. I mean, look, I'd save puppies all day long, but that doesn't pay the bills. So,
right.
I mean, like you have to find something that you make money at, that you're good at, that makes you happy.
Right.
There's so many list of things you have to do to be successful.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it is. It was difficult. I think probably I would say the first couple of years of trying to figure out what I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to do it. Um, if I could have went back to school, I probably should have and finished
Mm-hmm.
it. But I went because I wasn't settled, married somebody I didn't know very well, ended up in divorce very quick. So there was all the outside turmoil with it too.
Right, right.
It wasn't just um, the school and the education part, but of course you add the relationships to it and
Mm-hmm.
all the drama that goes on with those.
Right.
It piles on you for a little bit.
Right, right, right. No, for sure. Yeah, yeah, with me, I think once I got out, like I knew what I kind of wanted to do. Like I wanted to go to art school. I wanted to um, do that. I wanted to be an animator. Work on some animated movies and stuff. Finally got my shot when I worked on Shrek, and
Awesome.
right, and but I think that was something for me. Like I knew what I wanted to do. Like I actually had this college in mind prior to joining the army, and
That's really good. So you had direction
yeah,
to that. That's really good.
yeah, yeah. So I mean, I went there like pretty much like I said directly after, like within a couple months after getting out. So I had that. And my mom would keep she's like, why don't you just go be a mechanic in there? I was like, I don't want to be a mechanic for the rest of my life, right? Like, don't get me wrong, I love working on stuff, fixing stuff. Like I love working on my hands, and and I just didn't want to be a mechanic first. So I was like, I did that. I was really good at my job, and we did what we did. So I was like, and like for me, like not to say anything bad about mechanics, but like I was like, but I progressed past mechanic, right? I was a crew chief, so like I don't want to go back to being a mechanic. Like you don't get to fly anymore. Like I think for me, like that'd be like me, like if I was maybe if I was like a Black Hawk, not Black Hawk, like an Apache crew chief, right? And I never got to fly.
Right.
Okay, yeah. Like I could go be a mechanic, right? That'd be great. And it's not that I'm looking down on mechanics or anything, so don't.
No.
I hope nobody takes it that way.
No. The problem when you fly, like, there's nothing cooler than that. So
yeah,
everything is like, I don't want to do it.
right. You're in the back and like you're doing a map of the Earth or you're doing whatever, right? Or like you're like flying into like a hot LZ. And like you're picking people up, you're running, like the adrenaline's going. Like that is like there's nothing that can really compare to that, like being in those kind of situations, right? I'm like, it's like there's nothing like working on a Black Hawk or any kind of like mechanical thing, like car, truck, helicopter, boat, whatever, right? There's nobody like shooting at you to do it, right? Or right, you're not running in to save lives, right? Like,
yeah.
So like I knew for me, like I didn't want to just be just a mechanic. Like if I found a job, like it had to be like a job where I would fly again.
Yeah.
Like I just couldn't. And like I think now there are plenty of jobs like contracting that can do that. But when we got out, like there was
it was quite different. Yeah.
Like if you wanted to fly, you had to like almost be like an engineer, or you had to have like 20 hours into your flight pilot's license and stuff, or and you had, or like halfway through your like your flight piloting course or whatever to even be a crew chief. And I'm like, dog, that's like 120 grand right there. Like, where am I coming up with this, right? Like the GI Bill only gives me 45. That's, that's a whole like 80 grand I got to come up with right there. Like, that's not happening, So, and like, I think just for me at that point, I didn't want to. So,
yeah.
But yeah, I think I think you're right. Like, if you don't have a direction, like, I mean, it's really tough. And I feel like that's just anywhere in life, really. Not even just getting out, but anywhere in life. Like, if you don't have direction, like, it's gonna be tough for you,
Yeah.
And,
Yeah. Yeah, I would say if you're about to be out or you're gonna be out or 6 months out, start really thinking about what you want to do.
Yeah.
Because there's so much hype. You build it up from the time you get in.
Yeah.
People count down until they, it's like,
Yeah.
everyone talks about it, right? Like the
Yeah.
whole time, how much longer do you have? When are you getting out? Like it's a thing.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
nobody ever says, what are you doing after this?
Right.
What do you want to do? Like,
Yeah.
what do you think your, purpose is or your life,
Right.
dream, anything? No one
Yeah.
says.
Yeah. You probably get like 3 months, right? Once you decide, once they say you or like you've went through and they're like, oh, you're not gonna take this bonus and
Right. Yeah.
and re-enlist. Okay. So what are you gonna do afterwards? You're gonna flip burgers? I mean, I looked Sergeant Major dead in the face, and I'll be like, I'll flip them all day. I will flip them all day. I was like, I have no debt. My car's paid off because
Right.
he went. You know how they do that? They give you the out briefing with Sergeant Major or whoever, right? And he's like, let me guess, you guys got credit cards and blah blah blah. He's like, yep. He looked me dead in the face. He's like, John Ram, that car outside, that's new, huh? I was like, it's about a year old, Top. He's like, you think you're gonna be able to pay that off flipping burgers? I was like, no, Top, that's already paid off because I didn't spend any money when we were in Iraq. So he's like, all right. Looks like you're getting out. What about the rest of you guys? All right. He just looked, he was like, I had no credit cards. I had like zero debt getting out, so I had no burdens on me getting out.
Yeah.
And I think that was like the one smart thing I did, like the 20 grand or whatever I saved when I was in Afghanistan or not in Iraq. I did that and paid everything down. Like I had nothing. So that was like a smart part on me. And I'm just thinking about it now.
I think you made a lot of right choices.
I think I made some, but I think I screwed some up on the way out or after. But on the way out, I think I made some right choices, right? But
yeah, definitely.
Yeah. But I was just thinking about that. A whole year and a half in Iraq, and I had no money to spend on anything, and I only came out of there with like 20 some grand. And that was like and that's tax free. Like, was I really only getting 20 grand for like a whole year? Like, really?
Wait, we gotta do the math again. What were you getting paid?
I don't remember. What was E4 back in those days, man? Like, and I remember thinking that was a lot of money. Jeez.
Yeah, I would do it right now if I could. Give me that. I'll spend a year and a half there for 20 grand.
Right.
Tax free. I'm in.
Right? Yeah. So, but I mean, yeah, I came back and I paid everything down. Like I think I had maybe 9,000 left on the car, and I don't think I had any credit card at that point because I paid it all off before I went in, or well before we went to Afghanistan or Iraq. I keep saying Afghanistan, but we went to Iraq, and so once I got out, I had no bills. So like Top was like, all right, whatever, go flip your burgers. You're out, and he just looked at everybody else in the room. He's like, what about you? And like, there's guys in there. It's like, oh, I got a wife and a kid, and I bought her a van or a car, and then I came back and I got myself my Mustang, and I'm just looking at them. I'm like, yeah, bro, you better stay in. Like, I was like, yes.
I'm with him. You better stay where you're at.
Right. And this is all before the crash, like, so, yeah. And after the crash, like, if I'd went to Iraq the second time and got out, like, came back, like, it would have been right around when the crash was happening. I'd probably be retiring next month.
Yeah.
Actually, in June, I'd be retiring.
Yeah, nope, we're not going anywhere. We're gonna stay right here.
Right. So, but yeah, I think that's a great thing too. Like, having all that set up prior to getting out was probably really good.
Yeah, definitely. Well, and the world's changed since we got out, and those years ago, things are a lot different. So I think you have to really prepare yourself, and not only physically, emotionally, but also financially, because I was never concerned about getting a job. I always knew I could get a job. It
Yeah.
might have been my ideal or dream job. But now, people getting out now, certain areas you'll go to, jobs aren't aplenty everywhere.
Right.
And you see people all the time, kids that go to college and come out with degrees and they're not getting jobs.
Right.
I interview them all the time that they have degrees and they're wanting these entry level jobs. I'm like, why are they applying to this? But they can't find anything else.
Yeah.
So yeah, having a goal and being financially ready or wherever, yeah, definitely would help out.
Right. Yeah. Good. Yeah. I mean, and I think, since you know a lot more about the medical field than I do, like as as medics getting out now, like how do you think that would be like? What's it look like for them? Like does the medical field like really lush and looking still, or is it drying up too? Like I know at some point, like cause my sister's a nurse, and I used to joke with her all the time, like, yo, I can give an IV better than you. I literally like showed her how to give an IV, cause she was trying to do it at one point, and like it was when she was still in school, right? And I just got out, and, like she was like, oh, I just learned how to give an IV. I was like, okay, yeah, let's see. And like, so my whole arm was like black and blue for like 2 weeks. So then I showed her like, like that's a great way to do it and all, but here's a better way. uh, She'll probably never admit to that story ever in her life, But yeah, like when she was getting out, like her friends, like she got lucky and she got a job right off the bat at Long Beach. But a lot of her friends, like they got out and they just couldn't get jobs because like even the medical industry was like dried up, it was like a lot. So I mean, like how is it now? Like as getting out, like is there still like maybe EMT positions or nursing? Like what?
Yeah, I would say, it probably depends where you're at. Here, the economy here in Texas is constant. It is growing and growing and growing and growing. So nurses, yeah, medical, anything medical, you're going to be able to get a job. Everywhere you look, there's another hospital being built or another, urgent care or another doctor's office. It's huge.
Right.
California, you have so many people. Your population, is so much high that there's probably more competitive.
Yeah.
To get your nurses, and they expect to be paid, for their education and what they're going to do. And
right.
I don't know how competitive it is there.
So, yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Yeah.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think I was talking to my sister and and is it the LVN? Is that like the full nurse, right?
Yeah, that's right. Well, that's right under the RN.
Okay. So I think RN, like a lot of places in California, from what she was saying, like even if you're an LVN, they're like, yeah, like that's great, but we have so many RNs out here, right? Like the registered nurses or whatever, right? Like that we don't have to, we're not in need of LVNs, right? Because our nurses do everything, right? So for out here in California, there's still a demand for nurses, right? But I think if you're anything under an RN, it's like really difficult,
right?
Unless you're still in school and then you're like, you're there as a what's it called?
Where they go like intern or work
intern thing, yeah,
or whatever kind of thing, yeah.
Right. So like, and that's the only way you can be like an LVN, like in California at this point, I believe. I don't know if it's changed.
So I think a lot of the hospitals are saying LVNs can't work the hospital floors anymore, that they're putting more RNs there on the hospital. Okay. So all those nurses that went to school to become LVN, now they're like, either I have to go be an RN or the same boat. Like, what do I do now? Right. Yeah.
So, yeah, and I think, I mean, I don't know if that's changed, but I mean, you said that, and over there, it's, they're putting RNs on the floor now instead. So,
Yeah, yeah, you could do well here. I think the hospitals are getting rid of the LVNs. They'll only work certain areas, and they only want RNs in the hospital. But urgent cares in the doctor's office, you can be LVN, and that
right,
is perfect.
right.
So it's so weird that there's such a big distinction between those.
Right. I don't even know what distinction would be. Maybe you can read the prescription better. I don't know. I'm not a medic, so I can't. I don't know like what's the difference in the schooling, right?
Yes, they read the prescription better. That's what they do.
Yeah, you know. As an RN, it's 2 pills instead of as an LVN, you're like, is that a 2? Like, yeah, I don't know, right? Because I mean, yeah, I really, I don't know. I'm that's just speaking to my ignorance on the subject, but like, yeah, because I don't know what the distinction is and what the furthering of education is between LVN and RN kind of things.
I think it's like 2 more years.
Right. Yeah. But I don't know.
2 years to read that prescription better.
Right. Yeah, I just don't know what further education they get in those 2 years.
Yeah. It must be something. I tell you, I don't know.
Right. All right. And but well, have you had when you got out? Did you look into any of the flight medic positions? Do you know anything about that? Do you have to be you have to be a nurse for that as well, or can you be EMT for that?
No, you had to be an RN.
Have to be an RN. Okay.
So if you're a medic and you want to be a nurse, you should just go to the RN program.
Okay, gotcha.
That's probably the bottom line. Just skip everything else and go to the RN program.
Right. Yeah, because I know a lot of my friends from the Navy, they got out and they're now nurses and stuff as well, and they're like down in San Diego as well. But when I was there, I just always assumed, like, I never thought because like there at the time that was my ex-girlfriend's cousins, right? So I never thought to ask, like, oh yeah, did you guys have to go back to school to do that or whatever? Or like I just figured they were nurses what are they called? Corpsmen or whatever, right? The Navy corpsmen. So they were corpsmen in the Navy, and I just thought like, oh man, so they got out and just got a job, being a nurse.
Right. Yeah.
I thought you just walked right into it, maybe have to do a few tests, just to like pass some California certifications or something.
Right.
And then you got it, because like I said, for us as mechanics, that's how it was. Like, you do your A&P course, and then like it's like maybe a month, right? And then you go take a test, and you're like, boom, you're now certified.
If they did that.
Right? Yeah. It's like, yeah, you're now certified to work around the world on airplanes. Like, not even just in the U.S., like around the world, right? On airplanes. So I should have
done that.
Right. Right. Yeah, seriously. So I mean, just that's kind of just what I assumed. Like, you just walked right into it. Like, I never realized you had to go all the way back to school, and then with that, your GI Bill won't even cover those extra years, right? Like, it's like is a nursing degree a 4-year program, or is it
for the RN? It's 4.
RN 4. Okay, yeah, and I don't think I think now the new 911 will cover that. But I know when we were at the GI Bill, didn't really cover that. Like, I think my sister said her school ended up being about 50 or 60 or something like that.
Right.
So she got hers, but like even at that, like the GI Bill was only at 40 or 45, I believe, right? So, because I think, well, I know it was like drafted in the 80s. So
yeah, I was less than that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It might have even been less than that. You're right. I don't recall, because I remember it was drafted in the 80s. So like, in college, so like they gave you that $1,000 a month, 1,200 a month, like in the 80s, like you could pay for school, books, and a living wage, right? Buy groceries, right? That was like back in the 80s. And then when we got out, they were telling me 1,500 for a studio. And I was like, I don't even get that much in GI Bill. What are you, crazy? Mm-mm. I'm living with my mama.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't think mine was even that much. I think it was less. Yeah. But when you went in pre 9/11 and pre all that stuff, things were so different.
Yeah.
Everything was different before then.
Yeah.
Benefits and all that stuff, I think were really different.
Right. Yeah. I think. Yeah, 'cause I think now just going in, I think some of these guys are getting signing bonuses just to go in. Like we didn't get any signing bonuses.
No.
They were like, "Oh, you want to go in? Okay. Best of luck to you. Thanks for making my quota." You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely no like signing bonuses or anything else. They're like, "All right, I'll give you a signing bonus. We'll let you pick the top 3 bases that you want to stay at, right? That you would want to get, and the bonus will be you might get one.
You might get one.
That's like a 1% chance, but we're not going to tell you that. So
pick your top 3, and it doesn't matter. But we're making you feel like you're doing something.
Right. These are your feel good buttons right here. That's about it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, because I remember I picked Irwin, right? I said, yeah, Irwin. I was like, yeah, let me get Irwin. It's right there in Barstow. I'll be at home. I can just chill. Heck no, straight to North Carolina. Actually, my originally duty station was supposed to be Japan, but then that got jacked up, and then I got sent to Bragg.
And I'm glad you did.
Right? It was fun. It was great. Good times there for sure.
It definitely was.
So I mean, we're about at an hour. I mean, do you have any other like insight, like for either the medical field or just in general, on how to cope? We talked about the support system.
Yeah, I think that's important. Getting a plan, getting a support system, making sure you know what you want to do.
Right. Yeah.
And then finding out before what it's going to take to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Finding out, is your GI Bill going to cover it if you got it?
Right.
What avenue are you going to take? Are you going to go to school for 2 years or 4 years? Are you going to go here? How are you going to make it all work before you come out? Because I think that would make their lives so much easier, because as soon as you add that pressure coming out, it's instant pressure when you get out.
Right.
In a sense, when you're in, you're protected.
Mm-hmm.
You have a paycheck that's coming in no matter what.
Right.
You have a very big support system, because every day these are your people that you come and see, and you always have a friend. You always have somebody there. So as soon as you step out in your freedom on that, you have instant pressure.
Right.
So yeah, getting your shit together before you're in the middle of it. Those are my words of advice.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree, right? Because there's always those people who would say like, oh, it's so much easier to be a civilian in civilian life, and I'm like, no, it's not, bro. Like, you mess up on a job in a civilian life, you can get fired the next day, if not the same day.
Right.
You mess up on the military, like, one, you're not getting fired for at least a few months. Like, well, not even fired, right? You might get kicked out. That's going to take a few months of paperwork. You got time.
Yeah.
Right? To figure something out, right? And it's coming, right? Like, it's not like, it's not like, oh, hey, you just crashed this truck, or not even a truck, like not even you crashed. Somebody crashed into you.
Yeah.
But you got caught in the intersection because somebody else up in front slammed on the brakes, and then you couldn't clear the intersection, right? But just because this other car was a dummy and just ran right into you, that's on you. You're fired today, right? Like
Right.
that could happen, you know, or you shredded the wrong piece of paper, you're fired, right? Like this, that's it. Like, you know, like in the military, like you literally can like, I don't even know how many parts we've, you know, how many tail rotor or not tail rotor, tail wheel lock pins got severed, you know, in my day. You know, I know I was on a crew that destroyed a blade and an engine cowling because the wind was blowing them too hard one day and we couldn't hold on to it and the pins just popped out and the rotors just went zoop and spun it in. Like on a civilian, like you're getting fired for that. Like there,
Yeah.
you are getting fired for that. What we got written up for it. Like we got lucky. We didn't even get like Article 15. We didn't even get docked and pay. We got written up and that was it. And then we had to give a safety briefing and come up with a new safety, a new procedure. All right. Like that was it. Like I think we did a lot more push-ups as well too, right? Like, I was getting close to that million, you know. But nobody got fired, right? Like
Right,
those
yeah.
guys are now first sergeants and you know sergeant majors and stuff, right? Like you know, like these are the same guys. Like the military, you mess up, but you learn from. I mean, you learn from your mistakes, right? You're given that chance, right, to learn from your mistakes.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like you know, next week there's going to be a paycheck,
Yeah.
right? And even if you get an Article 15, you know, in like a month, once that paperwork goes through, you're getting half a paycheck.
Right.
Right. So you have time to be like, I need to save all the money I can. Like, I can't go out and party this week because I know next week I'm only getting half my paycheck, half of
Right.
my 20,000 a year. Right. So
My 20,000 a year. Yes, exactly. Don't spend it all in one place.
right. So you know, so like, there's that option. Like, you don't have that like on the outside, or you know, you don't have that buffer on the outside.
Right.
You know, there's some places that they'll tell you, hey, you know, layoffs are coming, so you may or may not be on the list in a month. You know, I know there's places like that. Like in my industry, it's literally the next day. They're like, hey, let me talk to you.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's normally no warning. They
yeah,
tell you.
yeah, we lost some shows and we don't have the money to sustain all these crew.
Right.
We're gonna have to let you go. And that's how it is in my industry. You know, unless you're staff, and that's a hard position to come by. You know, so you know, I just think like, you know, just thinking about that, it's just, I think in the civilian world, you really just have to be a little bit more prepared for the unexpected. You know,
Mhm.
um, so I think yeah, it's pretty much
Yeah.
about it for me. And then yeah, and then I mean, do you have anything else you would like to
Um. No. I mean, this was good. We had a good conversation.
yeah, yeah, I
Yeah.
think it was really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. I think if you do go into something, you know, you have to be able to, um, you know, dial back your. I don't want to say attitude. That sounds so bad, right? But when
Yeah.
you and you almost have to just, you know, fill out your surroundings first. If you're
Mhm.
going to a job interview or if you're going somewhere, and kind of, you know, because yeah, I do sometimes see people come in and you're like, okay, we're not there right now. We're in this environment, but it's hard to transfer.
Right.
So
Right.
those first few interviews, maybe just dial it down a notch.
Right. You know, yeah. You've been talking without a filter for like 20 years or however long. Like you got to filter on the civilian world, especially in corporate. Like, got to filter in corporate. Like there's, unless it's your own company and you
Yeah.
want to do whatever you want and you want to take that risk with HR, even if it is your own company, like you know, like that's you. But
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
yeah, in court, like this, I mean, it's like so many times at work, people are like, "Man, CJ, you're so reserved." I was like, "That's because I don't say anything to anybody anymore." Like, I don't. Like, you know, I got filter checked a few times, right? Like,
Right.
you know,
Right. Yeah.
and
Yeah. You just got
And,
to, the back.
yeah, and I think on one of my jobs, I was teaching Muay Thai once, and there was a student that everybody thought I was upset at, and I was like, no, I wasn't upset. He told me he wanted to be a fighter, so I treated him like a fighter. Like, you need to get ridiculed and all this other stuff, and I yelled at him like a lot. Like, I was like, you're getting beat by a girl. Come on, let's do it, right? It was jiu-jitsu. And I was like, he's like a big dude. He was like 200 and some pounds. And like the girl was like maybe 50 pounds soaking wet. No, I'm just, no, like, no, she was like literally like, like 110, 120, right? And, I'm just like, bro, you're getting beat by a girl. Come on, pick it up. And he got his feelings hurt. And I was like, really? Everybody thought I was mad at you? No, bro. I was like, you needed to just work. Like, I know you. I was like, and I talked to him after. I was like, I know you know how to do this. Like, I don't care that she's a girl. Like, you just sitting there and let her hold you in any kind of like positions, not gonna help her out at all. It's not helping you out. It's not helping her out. Like, you know how to do the escapes. Work your escapes. Do it slow, methodical, and perfect if you're with somebody smaller and lighter than you, right? Don't just use your force and muscle your way out, right? Because when you have somebody that's bigger than you, you're not going to be able to muscle your way out.
Right.
So you have to do it slow and methodical, right? So, and I'm yelling at them, and, I was there for like another 2 weeks till they were like, you're a little too harsh on these guys. I was like, come on now. He's a fighter. He said he wanted to be a fighter. Like, you got to fight if you want to be a fighter. You can't just lay there. Like, and this was after I had to talk with him and everything too, and like and we cooled it out. Like, we were like, I was like, yo, bro, I'm not mad. I was never mad. Like, I had no issue with anything. I just wanted you. I need you to work, because if you're just gonna sit there, it's not helping her and it's not helping you. Like, you need to learn how to work. Like, and at that time he told me, the other coach told him that he needed to take it easy. I'm like, yeah, there's a difference between taking it easy, bro, and not doing anything. Like, taking it easy is working slow, getting your position right, everything else hipping out, like, getting your elbow where it needs to be, bracing and all that. Like, that's taking it easy. Like, just pushing somebody off and like muscling it, that's not taking it easy. Like, like, I told him, I was like, yo, you seen Coach Christina and like all these other like coaches, like female coaches? I was like, they ball me up daily in jiu-jitsu, like daily. Like, I'd be like getting tapped by these girls daily, right? But like, it wasn't about like that they were girls beating me. It was the fact that they were way better.
Right.
And even like the only thing that would save me is that like I could muscle out of some of them, but like back, they got my back. I was like, well, I guess I gotta just, oh God, don't get choke me, right? So
don't kill me, please don't kill me.
Yeah, so I mean, you definitely have to watch what you say when you're in like the civilian world. Like, even like people who say that they're there to take, and they can take whatever kind of jokes and everything you have, they like in the military we go hard and fast, and we don't stop, right? So
we could verbally destroy anybody.
Yeah.
Hard to reel that back in.
Yeah, and the
person afterwards.
Exactly, and the problem is, I think too, like with us, we don't really look at it like we're trying to verbally destroy you.
Right. That's just normal conversation.
Right. For me, that was normal. Like, I just, and they had this thing. It was called like PCP or something like that. Not the drug. It was like it was like practice, correct, and practice or something. I know I got it wrong, right? But I looked at him straight in the dead in face. I was like, I'm in the military, bro. You mean PCP? You mean punish, correct, punish? Like, that's what I know it as. Like, like, if you don't get it right, you're getting punished. I'm sorry, So I mean, I got let go off of that job because I was apparently too harsh, and I was like, I didn't even see it that way. Like, I wasn't mad at all. I think if I was mad, I was mad that he wasn't doing what I told him to do, but like, I wasn't mad at him. And I wasn't even like mad about it. I was just like, bro, you know how to do this. Like, I was like frustrated, not like mad. I was just like, you know how to do this. Come on, you're beat by a girl. Let's go. Right. But, And yeah, it's just
crazy.
how it is. Like, you know, anybody out there, they can say that they can take whatever you can throw at them, but you know, it's like they don't know they've been taking what like civilians have been throwing at them their whole life, right? You come at them with that military attitude, and they're like, "What is this whole new level? Like, I don't understand this, and why are you so mad? You're so angry, and I can't handle this right now. You need to stop." You know, like,
And you're just like, I'm not even mad. What are you talking about?
right? Like, yeah, no, I'm not mad, bro. I'm just trying to, you know, we're training. Like, this is training. Like, right? Like, you know, and you know, I think for me too, it was like, you know, like I never really did that with any of the regular students. But if you told me you want to be a fighter, then I treated you like a fighter. Like
Yeah.
I like if you told me you want to be a fighter, like I really treated you like we were doing training in the army or something. You know, like there's no breaks, there's no stops, there's no like, oh, did I hurt your feelings? There's none of that. There's
Yeah.
if you want to fight, if you're gonna be in the ring with somebody that's gonna try to hurt you, you have to be able to deal with that. You know.
Yeah.
And I think that was just me because like I got let go off of that position real fast for not being PC enough.
See, so you know how it goes.
Oh yeah, yeah. I know we have to like deal with those guys. So, but yeah, it's
Good.
good, it's good, sweet. Any other things? Anything in closing or something?
No, thank you for asking me to do this. I appreciate it. It was super fun.
Oh yeah, thank you. No, so I'm glad you were able to find the time.
Yeah.
You know, it's a special episode. You know, we didn't have Jeff on today. He was doing family things. Um, it's all right. Next time. Um, and then, yeah, I mean, you're welcome to come back any other time and chitty chat if you want. You know, keep this going. Yeah. So, well, thanks, guys. Closing. I hope you like this one. It's a little bit to do about medical and a support system that you know I wasn't really thinking about doing, but you know, hey, it ended up being that way, and that's how it had, and that's how I want these to go. Like I want them to be fluid and everything else. I don't want to be stuck on a script. Like I want to give you guys as much knowledge, and you know, even if we talk about the same subjects with other people, you know, somebody might say something differently that might register with you in a way that you know, even if we've all said the same thing, they might just say it differently that will register and it will hit you in a certain way. You know, even we're talking about support system again, like in the next, you know, couple episodes or whatever. Just, you know, let you know that when people talk, like you hear certain voices more than you hear others, and certain people stand out to you more than others. So just keep on listening, keep coming back, guys. And yeah, we're going to be here again on Left Seat, Right Seat. So once again, thank you, Roni, for coming in and having fun and giving us your insight and, you know, telling us how it was for you on the way out. And yeah, it was fun. Thank you.
Super fun. Thanks, CJ.
All right.
Bye.
Hey, guys. Thanks for listening to Left Seat, Right Seat. If you liked what you heard, just go ahead, hit that like and subscribe, and don't forget to share with your friends. And come back next week for another episode. And also follow us on Facebook and Instagram and all your other podcast venues. All right. Thanks, guys. Have a good one, and we'll see you again later. Bye.
See ya.